Welcome back, everybody, to On the Edge of Shadow. I am your narrator, Blackthorn, here at this channel. Today I will be taking on the role as the Jednak of the game. This is our first full-length campaign in the setting of Telûne, a sword and sorcery tribute to the author Edgar Rice Burroughs. Any and all references that I do make to Edgar Rice Burroughs are obviously owned by the master of sword and sorcery, or excuse me, sword and planet, and are owned by the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate and incorporation. But we continue. The stage curtains open onto a view of a verdant, hot, and humid world with a thick, voluminous atmosphere similar to our Jupiter in our solar system. The planet known as Telûne, however, is covered, at least its known portions, inhabited portions of, by individuals that would be closely resembling our humanity, in a thick jungle, sprawling with life, and hiding in this canopy, this dense jungle canopy, is predators of all forms, life in this kind of this almost cacophonous revelry of life and death, and as well as simply just trying to survive. A planet, a tropical planet in the Australian fashion, where everything wants your blood and everything is always looking over its shoulder. But our camera sweeps through these thick, dark leaves to a village on a far eastern border of the territory known as Purn, between what would be the city-state of Purn and kind of like the contested territories of like the dark jungles between here and the shallow salt sea, the village known as Thoshar. Here we see an individual newly acquiring a second name, returning from an expedition with one other companion. You've survived an encounter with a horror that I will allow you both to describe, Dotar Shoro and Hamar, as you limp back into what would be the protective ring of Thoshar. Dotar, would you describe your characters for us?
Dotar is a rather tall, very well-built male. He is sporting a really fancy harness that's encrusted with multiple types of jewels, which that and his saber that he also has equally encrusted with jewels, recently pillaged from a rival. Long hair, big bushy beard, and usually he carries himself really gentlemanly, but with the encounter they've just recently had, he's lost a little bit of that swagger.
Hamar, would you describe yourself as you follow Dotar out of the underbrush.
Well, as a contrast to Dotar, Hamar is wearing very simply made um, equipment, primarily made from leather and some well, what you would call hides. They're more, most of them are more of a lizard type hide than like a furred hide you might find in a more temperate climate. He has at his side a long knife, probably 2 feet long. It hangs from a loop on his belt. It's the blade edge a bit showing a bit of wear, and slung across his shoulder he carries an old, well-worn rifle. The sling on it is actually made from some kind of a hide that has apparently both scales and a bit of fur on it too. Some odd creature from out in the jungles that he's killed at some point. He's also quite a bit shorter, I'm sure, than Dotar. He's probably just a few inches over 5 feet, but he has one of those frames that makes him look like he's almost as wide as he is tall. And he's walking with almost as if it's an odd gait, as if maybe someone who's more used to walking through knee-high water than on solid ground in most cases. His hair falls lankly around his shoulders. It's kept long and a bit unkempt, tied back from his face with a leather thong. And he looks a bit worse for the wear. Some superficial scratches and such on him are obvious where something has either been trying to eat him or scratched him up fairly savagely as they come in. And he also seems to have that look like he's always looking for something.
Excellently done. You're currently crossing what would be kind of like it would look similar to our earthly like cranberry farms, where they have like plots of like pools of cranberries, but they are triangular pools of that are specifically growing peat moss. And you're kind of stumbling across one of these kind of raised earthy avenues there, and no one is out in this section of the farm country here. But you find your way into the village proper. You pass beneath a gate that has seen better days. What has befallen you? Who has attacked you, or what? And why is your flyer gone? I'll let the two of you narrate the past week's worth of events here.
Would you like to take this one, sir?
I gotta kind of dig in my memory a little bit here.
You could insert something else in there, not necessarily just the last session that you were a part of, but what happened in the time between that and now? We'll say maybe a couple of weeks, maybe shy of a month. We'll say.
Oh,
it was a shit show, sir.
Well, I think maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say after Dotar and his companions left that ruin, they came across a nearby village where he met me, and the other two decided to stay behind and go their separate ways. And he picked me up as a bit of a guide, as I know the swamps fairly well, and the village was more than happy to get rid of because I was always sort of an edge dweller, if you will. And at some point between there and where we are now, we encountered a flock of some kind of flying creature that apparently thought we were a meal of some type.
And we
What was your perspective on that, there, Dotar?
as much as we tried to fight them off, Dotar's heart just wasn't quite in it, because even though he had originally set out and accomplished what he meant by getting his second name, he also saw some things that no one should ever see. He saw the dead rise and attack him. He saw a companion not themselves. So he has been kind of messed up from that, and that may have had an effect on how well he was able to hold off some of that flock.
Also, another thing that may or may not be weighing on his mind quite heavily is the abduction of his cousin by those horrors, those arachnid people from the southern jungle. Finding the lead that you did have, going to that tomb and seeing what you saw there, we'll call it what it is. That lead dried up, and all you found were death. All you did find was death, quite literally. Back now in relative civilization, Thoshar here, there are sentries on this ivy-covered wall, and they watch you. They don't cover you with their rifles. They don't accost you in any way, but you're not of this village. They watch you quite maybe uncomfortably closely as you pass beneath them. There is a small marketplace.
Mars to make sure his.
Oh, go for it.
I was going to say, Hamar's going to make sure his hands are visible and away from any weapons he has on him, showing he comes in peace.
You pass into what looks to be a local farmer's market or fish market of some kind, jungle goods, cultivated things here and there. The women do much of the merchant work, while the men are working in their fields or soldiering. As you know, commonly your nation of Purin is at war with Zatha, which is a city-state, far-reaching, which would be north, northeast, northwest of you. That's actually how wide that territory is. Just go north, you'll find it. And the vicious people therein. Your local Jed, a Tal Hagar, is very apprehensive to have these northerners come down out of their craggy high jungle territory and attempt to raid your communities. But it's for a wartime situation, it's quieter than you all feel comfortable with, more subterfuge, and that's not necessarily how your people wage war. So more of these young soldiers are getting apprehensive. When's the battle going to start? When are we actually going to take to the sky in battleships and actually give these people a damn good thrashing? Well, we don't know yet. So everyone wants to cut loose. A troop of soldiers passes by you, and one of the younger warriors, clearly a swashbuckler with his young bravado, he stink eyes at Dotar hard as he passes, like, oh, fuck this guy. He doesn't even know you, but you're about half a dozen years his senior. Like, fuck off, kid. Just go on. And you pass through this marketplace, kind of into like the main square, where there's kind of the lily pad festooned well and or fountain in the center here, kind of lavishly draped with a pink lotus. Fabian, would you describe your character and tell us why he's in the marketplace today?
So Fabian, he's a little bit tall. He's a little over 6 foot tall. If he wasn't filled out, people would think he was gangly or just wiry, because he doesn't have a whole lot of muscle mass, but what's there is pretty damn solid. He'd be more basically he has more like that swimmer's or a runner's body versus just bulked out. But anyone looking at him says, you hit that, you're gonna break your hand on it. Like, don't try punching him. It's not going to work out for you. He is currently in the market, but no, he can still clap. He's not quite that swole.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I don't know. Inside joke, audience. My apologies.
Yep. No, no, you can tell he's definitely very well built. He just went basically, if he was a bodybuilder, he went completely for tone rather than bulk. But you could tell he never really missed a day at the gym, and he never really missed leg day. But I digress. Now he is currently in the marketplace because he came across a bunch of just trade goods, beads, bowls, dice, and the like, and he is trying to see who would basically like to trade, because he's actually in the market to get more daggers, as well as maybe get a new pair of bracers because his old ones are kind of starting to fall apart on him. He does have longer hair. It is very dark. It's also done up in multiple dreadlocks and braids. His skin is, he's very, very tan, to the point that he would almost be like a dark-skinned one if someone didn't know better. He spends all his time out in the sun. Currently, on his hips, you see two of the long daggers that they carry, as well as he has a rifle along his back. And he's actually one to not hide his spare ammunition, so you actually will just see the bandolier across his harness, just full of extra rounds. Fabian is known for, you need a shot or you need something taken care of, you get a hold of Fabian. And now in like modern or Earth terms, he would be the equivalent of a sniper. It's what he does when he's not currently having another job, like on a ship. But yeah, his other job is just taking people out. And sometimes he gets paid for it. Sometimes he gets trade goods for it. And today happened to be a trade good day. So there he is in the marketplace trying to get money for trade.
Now, we go back to Dotar's probably his inner mind. Currently, he is well, I'm actually going to leave that up to Dotar. You're the one actually having a mission to yourself. You can narrate to us where, probably in a soliloquy form here, how you wish to proceed.
Well, his main goal at the moment would probably be just to return home and see if he can find some more leads to follow on his cousin. It also would be good for him to return and be able to announce that he does indeed have a second name now. Yeah, that he's truly a man now.
One with two names now. There is much prestige that comes along with it in your community. As you don't have transportation yourselves, and traversing the jungle without flying technology above the canopy is treacherous beyond words. in your village is some ways from here. Your current need, as it were, find some form of transportation and get back there to report your findings. Your family, possibly even the Jed himself, may or may not be able to help you with your further search.
So yeah, then that's definitely going to be kind of at the forefront of his mind, is how he's going to go about negotiating travel, or possibly even acquiring a vehicle.
Well, you do have a party member. Use him as a resource there, and I will leave the floor to you guys.
So one thing as far as probably noticed about Hamar is he doesn't talk a lot. He can talk, but he obviously has had probably most of his life either living by himself on the edge of the village that he lived near, or speaking very rarely to people. Although you have, apparently you having two names has very much impressed him. And he has decided to, as basically to hitch his wagon to you, if you will, with the idea that maybe you'll lead him to some glory at some point. And
He's my squire.
the last thing he mentioned to you was your squire, your Batman, however you want to call it. Yeah. The last thing he said anything to you about was probably about an hour or so ago, and something about there's a village nearby, maybe we get some food there. That's the last thing he said.
What do you know of this village, Hamar? Anything other than it's a village where we can get food?
He looks around. There's lots of food here. Don't know the people though.
Do you know anything about their, I guess, trade relations that they may have with either your village or other neighboring villages?
To make a cunning roll because he doesn't have any knowledge of the general area, just general check. He looks at you and looks around and says, "Nope."
Well, we should
Don't know.
probably find a local to try and get some information from then.
He points at the tall fellow over next to the fountain. He looks useful. Pointing at Davian.
It's as good a choice as any, I suppose. And we'll kind of approach him.
Help you? Help you?
We're are you a local here?
Depends on who's asking.
I'm Dotar Shoro. You said we're the northern tribe?
No, you are actually of a different village. I actually have to get your village out of your notes. Hang on here. Geographically, and where you're from really doesn't matter. You're all from Purin. You're in this city state, so yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I'm crap. Now what was okay? Insert placeholder for the village name while he finds that.
Yep.
And I need to find passage back. I've just returned from an expedition.
How good are Fabian's connections here, Jedak?
Well, you live here, so you probably are well connected.
Damon's gonna actually like stop looking at the booth person he was speaking to and actually turn to you two. And what am I getting out of this? He said it with like a partial smirk on his lips, so like you could tell he's an opportunist, but at the same time he also just likes to see how people are going to deal with situations.
Do I even have any kind of currency?
I'm gonna say you probably don't have any left after you guys kind of got attacked repeatedly and lost a lot of your shit in the jungle. So whatever you have on your persons, it sucks right now, but that is what's left of the expedition.
Would that include my old saber?
Did you take your old saber with you, or did you leave it on the corpse? Let me ask you that.
Leave it on the corpse.
Yeah, did you like trade it? You took the new one as the trophy. You left your old one.
Oh,
It's
I
up to you.
guess that's
You're
fine.
okay. This one's better. Get rid of that old one.
Did you hot swap or did you Florentine him? Is what he's asking.
Yeah.
You need something dead, Mar says.
Oh, I take care of that already.
You can sort of see Hamar sort of look you up and down. He just goes,
Oh, if I wasn't a gentleman.
Which you'll
Or
notice
honorable.
that his harness is very like stupidly still basic and just leather and like no extra trappings or anything, but the rifle he has on his back look like it's been through like 3 world wars and is probably the most well-maintained thing in the town.
Hamar's gun probably breaks your heart.
Probably.
And Dotar's rifle just looks like an average run-of-the-mill rifle.
Yeah, there's not much nice things in this village. It's a pretty backwater farming community. The ornate trappings that Dotar has is probably the nicest thing that they've seen in a while. A lot of them are looking over at Dotar like he's probably a chieftain of a neighboring community, maybe. But they're yeah, no, they're very poor here.
All right, we can discuss payment later. Come on.
He looks at him. Hamar looks at Davian and Dotar back and forth and says, going where? Gonna kill something?
I assume you need transportation, yes?
Yes.
That's right. Yes.
Well,
If you come with us to the village, I am sure you can be properly rewarded.
we'll see.
Hamar says, Dotar's a great warrior. I'm sure he has great riches at his home.
Especially as I am returning as a 2 name.
I just checked my notes here. Dotar's home village, actually out on the outskirts of Purin City proper, is called Thorbar. Thobar. Orbar, excuse me. Which is 6 weeks air travel here from here. So I will leave you guys to that.
So yes,
Yeah.
we'll need to find passage back to the village of Thorbar.
Have I ever heard of that one before, Jedak?
You've heard of it. You've never been there.
Do I know roughly how far it is then?
Yeah, you'd know how far. Yeah, roughly 5 or 6 weeks by flyer.
Please tell me either one of you know how to either navigate or fly the dang thing.
I
I can navigate.
certainly do.
Good. I didn't want to do all the work. If Fabian will take him down to where he knows a couple of people who maintain, and if they rent or sell flyers.
You could probably cash in a favor and with one of your contacts possibly, and if they we'll see what this farming community has in regards to that sort of thing.
Right.
But we will reconvene in the next scene down where this community, this hamlet's excuse for the docks would be, which is basically what would constitute what used to be probably a 4 or 5 story building. Now it's crumbling to the point where it's about 3.5. There's 2 rickety platforms, and you actually see, let's actually randomly generate it for you, because this might be awesome. This might suck. And it sucks. Shit. The beauties and the curse of world building. Now, those of us who have seen Star Wars Episode 1, we're familiar of the Tatooine junkyard scene. Yeah, think different climate, similar, but mossy and rusted and just ugh. Your sandals and or your high top boots are stained with the oxide red iron clay mud going around. You're tracking it everywhere. You get up to the summit of this building, and you think those might be vehicles in which one could transport themselves from point A to point B, but you're not quite sure if they're flyable. There's one wizened old mummy of a man wearing a harness that's got more pockets on it than there probably would be straps. These belts, satchels, small what will look to be like coin purses, and instead of weapons on him, he's got multi-purpose tools of every design. And sorry about that. God damn it. Shut up out there. Traffic, what can I say? In this farming village, there's more traffic than I thought. There's flyers everywhere. But a wizened old mummy of a man festooned with tools. He's working on what looks to be like a single man scout flyer, almost like an air bike of some kind. He has not noticed you at all, but he's busy, engrossed in what he's doing here.
This is your idea of transportation? This is a scrap yard.
You can walk.
If we try to fly on one of
Very
these, we
brave
might
man.
be.
Suck it up, 2-Name. You'll live.
Amar says, and like last time when the flyers things came and attacked our flyer and we had to walk.
I want to talk about it.
This expedition was meant to be full of glory and prestige. It's just ended in fucking disaster. As you were, gentlemen.
So yeah, Fabian will go over to whatever suffices for a counter / wood top type of deal, and he'll rap on a couple of times to get the man's attention.
Well, he jumps up Maybe he's just a tad bit startled at your rapping. And he turns around. Oh, Avian, good morning.
Morning.
I'm trying to loosen this bolt on the. He's showing his arthritic knuckles underneath, covered in grease, covered in everything god and awful, as well as clay. And he's like, oh, come over, I don't have a grip. My grip is. Come over here. Loosen this for me.
Just gonna kind of look at him. These things are gonna fly apart.
Once again, you can walk.
Speaking of which, Mar walks over and shoos the old man away and takes grip on whatever it is that he's trying to turn and gives it a good push.
Make me an athletics test quick here.
All right. That's a 9.
Really a nice.
Yeah.
It's this old man is having a hell of a day. But you grab a handful of this wrench here and you pull it and you're like, damn, that's on there. You gotta readjust your grip really quick. Crunch.
Yeah, I sit there and
ooh.
Yeah. I spit on both hands, rub it together, take another grip, and give it another go.
Oh
Actually, put my back into it this time. That's much better.
There you go.
That's a 19.
Oh yeah, no, you're once you readjust your grip, you get it on there, and the thing comes easy. He goes, oh yeah, I got loosened it up for you, young man. He takes the wrench from you, pats you on the shoulder, and he disappears underneath this bike, and he just starts talking about the day, the weather, how's your travels treated you. You assume he's still talking to Thavian, but he may be arcing the question to everybody.
Bad.
Oh, bad. Why?
These two need transportation back home.
Oh, well.
Flying things ate our flyer.
Oh. He reaches.
To be fair, there were a lot of them.
Well, he reaches up through the guts of this machine. You see a hand come out. He goes, the red handled wrench.
You kind of look around and
Lamar will look for something. Yeah. Lamar look for something red. Take it up and hand it to him.
Exactly what it is, and hand it to Hamar and hand it to the old man.
Okay.
We're just looking around like,
well, you don't touch an old mechanic's shit. He knows where everything's at. Yeah, right. But he takes the wrench and snake-like disappears back into probably, I don't know, the transmission of this damn thing. He's disappeared under it. Just and for the sake of the scene, if this thing falls off of whatever it's balancing on, it's not on a crane. It's not secured. If this falls on him, he will die. He will be crushed to death. This wizened old mummy of a man. And he just, plain as anything he's ever worked on, and God knows how long this individual himself has been alive, probably an elder of this village. He says, well, I think I might have something. I don't want it. The lucky fishing boat. Oh, and that hand comes back up with the wrench, and he points across the yard over there, and again the hand serpentine disappears back in there.
Fabian actually dig into one of his spare pouches full of some of his trade goods, and one of the things he actually looks for when he's out and about is he actually looks for tools for the old man. Doesn't matter if they're rusted all to hell or they're pristine, the old man likes collecting tools.
Okay.
So he will actually set down, basically, it's I guess what they would consider to be like a Phillips head.
Mm-hmm.
About yay long. Shaft about that long. And he'll set it on the old man's bench.
Okay.
And I'm gonna look over to the flyer that the old man pointed at.
It doesn't look like it could have been a flyer at one time in 2 ages past, but it looks like a big. It looks like a giant inactive rust elemental, essentially, is what that looks like.
God.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Don't look at it. You will get tetanus by looking at it. That
Is it behind the
actually
junk?
that might be the place where all of the rust is coming from, to be perfectly fair. And yeah, no, it's half falling off of this building is where it's kind of like cockeyed there, like it was almost where it was landed, crashed onto this building is where it stayed.
That thing even start?
Of course it starts, the old man says. Well, I just go up, you see the levers, there. You just gotta pull the blue labeled one, and Fabian, make sure its buoyancy tanks are full. It's the green cord, the green canister on the left. You know.
I know.
Half expecting to look at the levers and see all of them labeled with blue.
And they are.
All but one.
Okay, well, yeah, no, the other one's labeled red. Don't touch the red one.
The red one or the rusty one?
There is no reply from the old man. You actually Hammer, make an awareness test. I want to see.
You have a
You're
wrench
closest.
coming at your head here in a second.
14.
The work underneath the scout flyer there has stopped, almost like the old man has paused. And if you could hear an old man think, and he
probably sounds about like this thing would when it starts up.
And you actually hear the old man, is it just red? Or is it rusted? And he just goes back to working. Like a senile old bastard. God.
Now, Damien will get everything checked up.
Say, I know how to fly these things. I don't really know much as far as how to fix them or make them better.
That is the best flyer you will see for 100 leagues, young man. Don't you discount it because you don't think she's beautiful.
Then why do you not want it?
Oh, it's because it's extra. It's taking up room. It's a finished project.
You mean to tell me you built this thing from scratch?
Yes. Out of the past 50 years, I've put that together with salvaged parts out in the wastes. I will say though, its left forward buoyancy tank is in fact new. And you actually look, Fabian, you're actually up there on the deck of this thing, and you see it. That's the one thing that doesn't have rust on it. Not a chipped bit of paint in sight. No, it's brand spanking new.
Oh God.
Come on, Two Name, you ready to go?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm gonna pick one of the levers that's labeled with blue and try and pull it.
Do you have it fired up already, Fabian?
Yes.
Oh, you do. Well, the thing is, in fact, if he's already done that, then the thing is actually already hovering. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fabian actually has navigation.
And Mars going to check out the.
He knows how to get all that stuff started.
So Mars going to check out the stowage areas to make sure there's plenty of. room for, like say, if we happen to catch anything for meat and stuff like that, there's plenty of room for supplies.
It has you can actually pull up floorboards in the deck, and it's got enough room for their like maybe like a few weeks worth of like just provisions there. On the deck, it's actually got a kind of like a center island countertop table thing there that's actually bolted to the deck itself. But you notice that the lid of said crate comes off, it actually doubling as a table there. Is an extra cargo hold. That has a tote chain that is 40 feet. It has a iridium torch in it, and a spare set of maintenance tools and a survivor kit. Or a survival kit, excuse me.
Oh, at least it's stocked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least if this thing gets us even halfway there, that's half the journey we don't have to walk.
That's true. Walking sucks. The leeches. Oh, they're tasty sometimes, but still, hate the leeches.
Oh,
Hey man, when you're hungry enough.
yeah.
True.
It's just the idea of that just.
Oh. There it is, the Telûnian delicacy, the giant leech. Nom 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 nom.
Fresh pulled from a kill.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Yep. Their version of blood
That
pudding.
is the old man.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's set a course for Thorbar.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Actually,
don't get
before we
yourself
do,
killed now.
Oh, don't you get yourself killed now. I'll be fine. The machine that kills me will be. He pauses and maybe he gets that crazy old man look on his face. Like he forgot mid sentence what the fuck he was talking about, and he just looks at the bike. That machine falls on me, that'll kill me, and he just goes back to work. But he'll pause. He's like, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere yet. Like he cocks his bushy silver fucking eyebrow at you. He goes back. He goes downstairs. You assume that this building is this guy's house. He goes down through a patch, and you hear rummaging around down there. You hear something get knocked over, like something big get knocked over, and you hear it goes like, oh shit.
What part of not dying don't you get?
Oh, it's just a cut. We'll be fine.
Crazy old man.
He makes some more like Mr. Magoo fucking sound effects down there, and something else falls. And he comes back up. He's like, oh, well, you're not going to get anywhere because the navigator's broken. Here's your navigator. He brings this basically this Macintosh computer looking thing with no chassis. It's just a stack of computer hardware and chips. Give me a few moments. I'll fix this for you. And he walks up to Dotar. Get out of the way, young man. I'm working.
Just do what you
Stand
gotta.
over there and don't touch anything.
I don't want to touch anything in here.
Good, because it'll kill us all. Suddenly, there's a hush of like, what the fuck does this old man have that could kill? Is something gonna blow up?
Definitely not touching that red lever.
Meanwhile, Fabian's just smirking away because he knows exactly how this old man works.
He'll open up what would be like the guts of this thing, and it actually takes a couple hours to install this. He's an old man. He wants to talk. He's not talking to you. He doesn't care what you have to say. He's talking to the machine. You hope. Fabian will say something. Well, I'm sorry. What was Hamar say?
Well, while this is going on, do we have a good view from here of the surrounding area?
Oh yeah. This is the tallest building in this village.
Beautiful. He's going to be basically using that time to sort of survey the local area, look at the trees. If he sees any wildlife, basically get an idea of what the local ecology is like, so that possibly do some hunting later on for food, because he's still hungry.
They have a semi-domesticated being here that would be a cross between like a sheep and a deer. I say semi-domesticated, more or less in the regards to humanity domesticated the cat. They didn't have domesticate the cat. They tamed the damn thing, and the cat just lives with you. Same mentality with these beings. They just wander into the village and they wander out, and sometimes the villagers kill one or two, but they keep going. Now, there seems to be quite a bit of this activity going on, but it seems like mostly a fisher people or a kind of a water-based plant kind of fare is what they'll eat here.
Well, if he has time, Hamar is going to look back over all the technical stuff going on, which, as far as he's concerned, they're gutting the machine. He doesn't understand it very much. And if he has time, he's going to go out there and kill one of those things or bring it back and start sectioning it up.
Yeah, go ahead and make me a wild lore test here quick. Or what would actually pass for wild lore in the setting. I believe it's the same damn thing.
Oh. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. I gotta check my own notes here. Interesting.
17.
Oh yeah, no, you're easily able to stalk one of these things and kill it, gut it, probably service the animal there, and bring back something that's able to be cooked. He has what would be
He'll
kind
bring
of like
back as much as he can, actually.
Okay. Yeah, you'd be able to bring back most of the animal there and cook most of that on what he would have that passes as the as a kitchen or a fire pit on top. It's an enormous brazier is what it is.
Okay. Well, I have provisioning an outfitter, so I'll be preparing it and getting it ready for to be provisions for the near future, so we'll have food.
And Dotar is going to be lazy and just work on polishing his gear with some metal polish he might find in the shop.
Nice. Sometime later that afternoon, Thar will have the new navigation system in this flyer actually updated, and he goes and he takes the liberty of removing the red lever from the deck entirely. He goes, "This will just kill all three of you. And it'll be safer this way." Goes to Fabian.
Yes, Thar.
All right, then, off with you. I have work to do.
All right, all right, all right. You two need anything else? Hey, Dar said get out of his shop. You get out of his
Yeah,
damn shop.
I'll
Less
help gather up the
frivolity is
cooked
what these
food.
young men need. Less frivolity. More work.
Thar, just go back to work. You're okay.
Oh, he disappears under the single man flyer again.
Yeah, I'll just help gather up the food that he cooked, that Hamar cooked, and get it stowed, I guess.
Shall we advance the scene from here? Or unless you guys want to do something else in the village, do it now. We might be entering the wastes after this.
Actually, Hamar will take a small part of that meat, go into the village, and see if he can't trade that for some vegetables and stuff. Things that travel a little better. Probably about half of the meat.
Okay. Yeah, no, you can trade it for an equal portion of produce there.
Okay. So about how many days of food would I line up with that total?
If you ration it well, you could get an additional 7 days if we're still using a 10-day cycle for a week, a chain.
Okay.
Maybe will go out to one of the people in the marketplace that he knows, and if need be, trade some of the trinkets he has to get an equal amount of water, as well as containers for said water.
Okay.
As well, do we have water purifiers in this day and age?
A water purifier would be really expensive.
I didn't know if we had rudimentary ones in this town or not. So.
These guys are pretty damn podunk. They don't have that.
Okay.
Dotar, is there anything else that you think you need from here? You're the only city slicker among the party.
That's probably why I'm not going out into it, because I'm like, this place is just, this is
filthy,
terrible.
Barons. Okay. You didn't think you'd be playing a noble in this setting, did you?
Yeah.
Well.
I'm trying to keep in mind that he's gentlemanly, but
it's
kind of hard in this place.
there's only so much courtly etiquette that one can have when you're surrounded by what would basically be peasants compared to you.
When was the last time you saw a king in a Winnebago?
And flying Winnebago is what this is. Now, I will have this next scene. We'll get individual soliloquies from everybody, and I will I will fast forward the time 3 weeks. So you'll be roughly halfway to the village of Thorbar. Give us a kind of a little bit more of your character's backstory. We'll start with Hamar here. 3 weeks into your travel here. Take it away, my man.
So Hamar has been spending most of the time on this flyer toward the bow, scanning the foliage underneath, the swamp all about and such, with his rifle sort of resting across his forearms. One of the things for him, he was, because the fact that, and both Fabian and Dotar probably have noticed this at this point, he does everything backwards, it seems. His dominant hand is not the dominant hand of the majority of the people that you know. And a lot of the smaller villages, when someone's like that, they, especially as a child, there's all kinds of superstitions about that. The person's lucky, or they're in some way touched by something bad or malevolent. Basically, he's left-handed. Pretty much through his entire life, he's always been sort of pushed down the edge of society. People don't want to have anything to do with him in general because of that. As a child, he was teased by other children, rocks were thrown at him and such. So he wound up spending a lot of time to himself. As such, his social skills were sort of stunted, and you guys have probably noticed he doesn't talk much, and he doesn't really have a lot of. He didn't. When he does talk, it's not generally tell stories or anything like that. But one of the things he has mentioned on this trip is one of the nights in a rare moment of talkativeness, if you will. He told you guys a story of when he was a child. He was out at the edge of the village. And he saw some of the other hunters going out, and there had been they had similar beasts to what were in the last village that would come and go in herds, and they would go out into the swampland around there and sort of drive them back toward the village to keep them from wandering too far away. And they had noticed a few times that less and less of these were coming back, so they assumed there was a predator around. And he, being too young to go on the hunt, but being in the kind of child that no one really paid much attention to, he followed along behind them, sort of unnoticed, and he found himself in the swamp, in some cases chest deep in water, following these men until they came to a large open, almost like a lagoon there in the middle of the swamp. It was free of trees, but open with the glassy water and the rare clearer water that was probably from a spring beneath. And on one bank, they had found several of these carcasses of these beasts that had been eaten by something. And the men were trying to decide what they were going to do when Hamar noticed something out in the water, a ripple. And then he saw a shape that he'll never forget. This thing rose up out of the water and had a back that was topped with a huge sail. The kind of sails that you'll occasionally see on some flyers when their motivation systems don't work right and they have to use wind to move them about. Usually and of course, if probably mentions that, Dotar is probably like, what do you mean? Debian's probably seen it before, but he has explained that in some of the poorer villages, when a flyer gets damaged, they have to do what they can. But this thing was very, very large, and it dived across the water toward the men, but they didn't notice it. And Hamar was going to call out, but he was afraid that if he did, whatever that thing was would notice him. And he also thought he would get in a lot of trouble from following the men out into the swamp in the first place. So he kept his mouth shut. And this thing's head lunged out of the water and snatched a man up right off the edge. It tossed him into the air and yapped its maw, and the man just disappeared down its throat. Didn't know if he was actually still alive when he went down or not, but this Hamar's eyes at that point, of course, you can see it as he's telling the tale, get sort of big as he's reliving it. He said it was the most terrifying thing he'd ever seen. The men began shooting at it with their rifles, but it seemed to either not care, or either their rifles just didn't do anything to it, and it began attacking them. Hamar sat there frozen with fear as this frenzy went on until there were only 3 men left who ran. And the thing went back into the water, but it stayed there sort of milling back and forth for hours as Hamar was frozen to the spot. He was afraid to move because now that the men had gone, there was nothing to distract it. And if he began moving, maybe it would see him. And eventually, finally, after night fell, he moved away from it. hoping it was asleep. But from that day forward, he's always thought that that beast had to have something special about it, and that's what he refers to as the devouring sail. And he said one of the things that he's always worried about was coming across one of those again. So he says that's why he scans the swamp so intently. And as days go by, that's what he does every day. Keep an eye out. Of course, occasionally picking off an animal.
And from here, we will go to Fabian. Because we've actually left your village, and it's actually your home. You were likely born here. I will let you describe the village life. It's up to you. Go for it, man.
The village life, huh?
Yeah, go for it.
No. Fabian, well, since he knows how to navigate and pilot, he is usually offering to take at least part of a shift almost every day. So they kind of like rotate between positions here. When he's not doing something on the flyer itself, he's usually actually using his long rifle to kind of look further out onto the horizon or out in the distance, just kind of that first awareness, that first, what's coming on the horizon that might try to surprise us. Hamar will probably appreciate what he's doing since they kind of do the same thing. As for Fabian leaving, he's taken jobs where he's had to go outside, like the village safety net, so to speak, but he's never really taken a trip out this far. So it's a weird mixture of anticipation and, don't want to say fear because Fabian's not really one for fear, but it's that the unknowing is coming, and sometimes change can be good and sometimes change can be bad.
The anxiety.
And he's just so, yes, that word. So yeah, he does kind of think, even just a couple of days before these two showed up, that, life was simple. I mean, the biggest job he would take is if they had some other tribe or singular person try to come in and start trouble or, rob something, rape someone, steal provisions or whatnot. Besides that, village life back there was quite simple. As Jedek said, it was pretty podunk. I mean, you woke up, you did your work, you ate, you drank. Wasn't really a whole lot more to it. The market flourished when it did because of the occasional caravan that did come through and wasn't molested and overrun by raiders and marauders. So they were always grateful for that. Fabian wasn't really one for staying idle, though. That's actually one reason that him and Thar got along relatively quickly. He saw the moving parts, the intricacies of the gears and the machinery, and it enthralled him on kind of a primitive level. He never really got deep into the mechanic lifestyle, but he was very interested in how something worked like that. And then eventually, when he picked up the rifle and started up that job, it was actually Thar's teachings that helped him to be better, because it was always the little things of, what can I tweak to make my aiming easier? What can I tweak to make my sight go a little bit further? So stuff like that. He left his mother behind in the village. Father died on a raid, and he actually did not have any lovers. Had a few dalliances when he was younger. I mean, what teenager didn't? But he didn't have anyone to say, I'm coming back to you. Nor did he really have a want to. At least for the moment, Fabian is very much. I'll have my conversations and my interactions when I need to. But if I don't, okay. So yeah, currently, at the moment, Fabian is probably on the prowl of the flyer and just keeping a lookout when to see what the next great adventure is going to be.
Luckily, well, actually, we'll go to Dotar, since nobody else is flying this keg. Dotar, you are likely standing at the controls of this slab of oxidized metal that's somehow flying 100 feet above the surface of the swamp, maybe some 20 feet above the highest tree's canopy here. Would you describe for us what, in stark contrast, the nobleman's lifestyle in the city state of Purin, as opposed to these outer country lands? Tell us a bit about himself.
Well, for starters, when he is swapped off of the controls with Fabian, he's actually taking the time to try and spiffy up the contraption they're flying. Because for one thing, when it comes to the upper echelons of society, appearances can mean everything. And so with him being kind of the opposite of Fabian knowing the intricacies and gear works of mechanics and simple life, Dotar is much more accustomed to the intricacies of the upper echelon politics. Even though he is groomed to be a leader of warriors, he still has that political side he has to navigate. Most of his upbringing has been the equivalent of being spoiled in this world. You know, he didn't have to personally go out and do the things. There were servants for that. However, he didn't follow all of the normal things that the upper echelon did. He actually found himself more comfortable with the diamonds in the rough of the lower folk because they tended to be more truthful, more honorable than the backstabbing political rivals that would be his normal social circle. He does, as they're getting farther away from Podunk Town and closer to the cities, he does seem to get a little bit of his swagger back. He doesn't seem quite as downtrodden. He's definitely, his spirits are raising, even though he's coming back from a pretty shitty expedition. You know, he is at least coming back with, you know, his new shinies and his new name. Yeah, and so he's just kind of, he listens to how the, you know, especially Hamar's story, and even as incredibly crazy as it sounds that something that big could exist to just throw a man up in the air and swallow him whole, Dotar has seen some shit of his own, so he can't really discount that.
Wonderfully done. Now, do we have a better understanding of our rogues here in the jungle? You set down one morning to actually, well, wait. Keith, are you still with us? Yeah, you froze for a little bit.
Yeah, so did you guys from my perspective. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, I want to make sure. Now, no, I was going to say you guys set your flyer down on surprisingly a very dry hummock, a pretty large dry hummock in this this marshland to do some foraging as well as maybe some fishing. It would seem that the mechanic Thartello left some fishing equipment, maybe like would be more a primitive circular throwing net, a pocket net for catching small fish, and what looks to be a fashioned fishing spear that has seen better days. Now it's starting to come to your mind that this may or may not have been Thar's only flying vehicle that he used to do his errands. So you may or may not suffer some pangs of like, did we take this from an old guy? Fabian will likely, he won't miss it. It's fine. He probably doesn't even remember we came. So as we set down on the scene, just before midday here, I will let you guys narrate for us this scene. What do you guys plan to do?
Well, Lamar is going to take the fishing net and go out and do some casting to see if he can get some small fish. And could he, by chance, salvage some line somewhere on the flyer, like something that would pass for, like, say, at least, and that's pretty fishing line, but something that could be fashioned into it.
Make me a. Do you have any grades in mechanic?
No, I do not. I do have outfitter though.
Well, no, not outfitter. We're not
I do.
preparing anything. You can probably ask Fabian to get you something.
Yeah, so yeah, he'll lay out the idea to Fabian. Basically, what he wants to do is he needs about 30 feet of cordage and something on one end that will float. And then he needs 3 lengths of about 6 feet long and something to make hooks out of. Basically, his plan is to create a basic trot line.
Yeah, go ahead and Fabian
is there anything I can make that out of?
Make a mechanic check for me, quick.
Dotar, never having fished a time in his life, is just kind of looking at it like, what are you doing?
In Dotar's perspective here, make me a. Let me get this for you. Before I put my my foot in my mouth here. Make an academics test quick. I know you don't have academics, but you can use it untrained.
All right, what does that run off of?
Cunning.
So just, is it 1d8 or 2d8?
It would be 2d8, your cunning modifier. Here we go.
-4 for untrained.
So
minus 4 for untrained there.
Okay, 1.
1? Oh shit. I was actually gonna give you a little bit of world lore there, but you don't know shit. Never mind.
Like I said, I'm just looking at what they're doing, and I'm like, how is that
The worst part
supposed
is,
to help?
the worst part is being a royal, you figured he would have had book smarts.
Well, see, that role
Yeah.
helped us. Helped us know what exactly
So,
we got here.
so he was spoiled and he didn't pay attention. Now I got him locked in.
He was too busy chasing skirts.
Hermar probably tries to.
He's the jock swashbuckler going after the girls. Oh, you don't read at all.
But he doesn't tell though. He kisses but doesn't tell.
Oh.
Yeah, Hamar explains
turn
it
it off.
badly. Yeah, Hamar explains it badly. So he says, "This will catch fish."
I
That's
got a
all he
19,
says.
by the way, on that mechanic.
Really? Will it? Oh, I love the party dynamic. We just this is beautiful.
Dotar's good at fighting, but he doesn't know crap when it comes to taking care of himself.
So in the meantime, can I use Outfitter to fashion
some what?
hooks, like fishing hooks?
Yeah,
So-
I suppose you could. Yeah, go for it.
Make it out of some scrap metal on this thing, and you can give the fish tetanus too.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey man, don't help me
It's called
out.
seasoning.
Is it called? Oh wow.
It's a 19 to fashion a few hooks.
Oh yeah, no. They not only are they hooks, but they're pretty. They are artful.
Okay. So yeah, so I'll lure to catch the little fishies.
Excellent.
Oh, that's gonna be pretty good.
Would it be wild lore or sea lore?
It should be wild lore specifically because this is freshwater. Sea lore would be
Okay,
deep sea
24.
fishing. 24? Yeah, if you spend much
So
of the
that's-
day.
24 to catch some fishies.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
spend much of the day,
So yeah, basically we'll catch some little fish and okay. So yeah, basically he'll catch some of the smaller fish and use those as bait on the hooks and then run this trot line out. Basically he'll bait the hooks and toss this float out into the water so that it sort of stretches out from the shore and lets it sit. And so yep. So that's what he'll basically be doing. He'll spend most of the day doing that and taking the smaller fish and probably putting those up as either later for bait or we can toss them into a stew.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna see about getting you an additional scene here. Now, Fabian, do you or before I continue here, geographically speaking, you guys, like I said, are on kind of a raised hummock that's kind of overgrown with this tall, like we're gonna say about hip high grass here. You've set the skiff down, and Hamar's got his trout line out. Where is everyone else while this is going on? Does anyone go walkabout? I'm assuming you stay close to camp. How do you want to do this?
Well, I know Dotar will be kind of just watching back and forth between the two of them doing, first of all, making the contraption and then using the contraption. But otherwise, he's not really doing much of anything except lounging around.
Like the debauched nobleman that he is. Damn him. Oh,
He figures there's nothing he can really do to help, even if he wanted to.
he's
That's why
emotional
I can't
support.
trust a Telûne to do anything. All right.
Nice.
No, Fabian, once he gets done helping Hamar with that, he is going to double check the skiff itself. Like, he knows Thar made it. As ugly as it looks on the outside, he knows the damn thing's solid, but still just he's had shit break on him before, even from Thar's place. So he's still going to make a quick check on everything, make sure everything's still working smooth. Everything's running correctly. And
Top
then,
off the oil.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'll
make
make
sure the
another
buoyancy
mechanics
tanks are
test
still
for me.
balanced. If I could count today,
Right?
20.
Oh yeah. This Frankenstein lucky boat that he has, it's not of any model or I suppose, assembly line put together
Blueprint.
blueprint. Yeah, no, it's quite literally a hodgepodge of many different things, many different machines all thrown into one. It's not pretty, but from I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you probably do this every 2 to 3 to maybe 4 days, and it's solid. It's not pretty. It is function only. This is not something you would take into well, I was about to say take into a larger city around other people. Well, Dotar knows that already, but Fabian's never been a large city in Division, nor has Hamar been. So no, it's a flyer. Why not? No, it's but what we do know, it is a quality piece of equipment that works beautifully. Sure, it makes some noise here and there that may or may not be disconcerting, but it works. It's beautiful. Almost
That's
like
half the
a
charm. That's
yeah.
half the charm.
Oh yeah, no, the thing has plenty of character, more than some. And
The
the
show
thing
horse might throw you from, when you walk into the city on it, but a donkey just doesn't give you the same impression.
no. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah, no, this is the donkey. This is the ass you are riding it on. Um um this thing, however, doesn't have a name. Normally it would have a script of Telunian hieroglyphs on the sides that give it a name. It doesn't have one.
Probably rusted off.
Yeah, well, maybe. Um, I will reiterate the
Or doesn't
buoyancy
write.
tank. The green buoyancy tank is the one thing on this is does not have rust on it. Um, but I will say though,
The rust holds it together.
oh yeah, no, what's it made out of? Rust, not steel, rust. Um,
Just slap
duct
some
tape.
clay on it.
all right. Well, Rust even gave him more character. Dotar, make me an awareness test here. Since you're the one who's not necessarily occupied by anything here, I'm assuming he's paying attention to his surroundings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what does that run off of?
Awareness is cunning.
Cunning as well. 18.
On the other side of this marshy aisle, you didn't see it beforehand. From the angle that you guys were kind of coming in and then just got lowered. You notice when the wind moves slightly, changes direction there. It moves kind of a section of underbrush out of the way, and you actually see a what looks to be a downed light cruiser half sinking into the muddy marsh there. And there's a ruin of some kind over there, also again rusted. It has a tree growing out of where you would think the cabin would be, but there is that plainly to your vision when the wind moves in a certain certain way.
All right. Gonna kind of let out a whistle to kind of get people's attention and kind of give hand signals to kind of point where I'm looking to the other two.
Yeah, when the other two do look, you actually also you do see the same thing. It's a down moldering light cruiser.
That Hamar is going to stake out that trot line and go up to the deck and grab his gun and just start walking over there.
Fabian, your gun probably doesn't have a scope, but it probably has a modified iron sight on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, Fabian will grab his rifle, and as Hamar goes down, he'll kind of he'll like trace just in front of Hamar.
Make me an awareness test here quick.
What do I have?
Dotar will be right there with
Both of us.
Oh no, just Fabian, since he's staying on the vessel there.
$32.
32. It surprises you to haven't noticed this yet, but right next to you on like the railing, on the bow of this skiff, there's actually a salvaged like hard point where like on a like on a battleship or a cruiser of some kind, like someone would mount like a light machine gun or some kind, a defense weapon, but there's nothing there. It's just like the hard point mounted to the hull there.
God damn it, Thar. Crazy old man.
It's like
I would-
driving gloves. It just makes it meaner just to have the hard point there.
It was his rest for his fishing pole.
Oh
Right,
yeah, no, that's
probably was,
exactly
probably
it.
was.
Of course.
To tell Hamar to tie up his trout line to that next time.
Oh yeah. So Fabian is staying on the skiff, and Dotar and Hamar are going to the cruiser, I'm assuming.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
What time of day are we at right now?
Probably equivalent to about 2 in the afternoon.
Okay, so I got plenty of daylight.
We've got a pretty thick overcast right now. I mean, it's midday, but there's plenty of clouds in the sky. It's been wanting to rain for the past hour and a half, we'll say. It's spitting at you right now. You guys make your way through this tall grass, and you got to wade through some knee-deep water to get to the other side of this aisle. But you find you get a good look at this thing. It's a light cruiser after a strange pattern. It's clearly this thing has been here for quite some time. There is a downed tree, a rotten tree trunk that's fallen from the aisle that goes to the cruiser here. You could actually use that as a bridge, unless you actually want to swim out to it. Dotar is pretty familiar with what a 100 individual flyer would be, which is your light cruiser. It's nothing made in your city, but still it's roughly the same size.
So, but I don't recognize the markings at all.
Oh no, you don't recognize the color or the heraldry. Your city's heraldic colors are kind of a turquoise, goldenrod, and black flags. This is what looks like a dark green, maybe what could possibly have been white at some point, which is horribly faded, and another color that you really can't describe that's also faded as well.
Well, we could definitely
Tomorrow
take this time
take
to
the,
scavenge some supplies.
Okay.
Yeah, Hamar will take the tree across, being as quiet as possible.
Okay, make me a stealth test, Omar.
Stealth. 20.
20. All right. You actually can get across this this tree trunk bridge actually very, very deftly. Dotar will watch you do that until you kind of disappear beyond the railing there. And now that you're on the deck here, we've got kind of a pretty steep angle. It's pretty slippery here. That if you slip, you're going straight into the drink. That's the angle of this. Dotar, how do you wish to proceed here?
Well, I reckon I'm going to try and follow Hamar in the same fashion. But again, Dotar is not exactly known for sneaking around.
Oh yeah, no, he's a life of nobility and ritualized duels. There's no reason to be quiet. Why would we be quiet? That's not honorable at all.
So, what does that fall under? Reflexes?
Reflexes, yeah.
So that'll actually be an 11.
Ooh, wonderful. There we go. You can get yourself up there. You're kind of crouched behind Hamar, but he's not nearly as quiet as your companion, Hamar. Now, how do you guys wish to proceed?
I'm looking for a way to the inside of this thing. A hatch or a doorway or a window I can see through.
Well, 10 feet up the slope would technically right now would be above you. There is a window, a broken window, that you could possibly throw yourself through. But you would actually need Dotar's assistance getting up there, as he is some hands taller than you.
He'll sling his rifle. He'll look over at Dotar and he'll say, "Give me a boost."
All right, I'm kind of lean down and get ready to give him that little lift.
All right. With an athletics test from Dotar, get him up there, man.
That's physique.
Yep, physique.
That is 21.
Beautiful. Yeah, you can very gracefully hand Hamar through that opening. Now, Hamar, your immediate surroundings. You're standing in what looks to be not necessarily a control room, but a kind of an off section of what would be a ship's bridge. Actually, let me ask you this: he's actually never been on a cruiser of this size, has he?
Nope.
Then
Nope,
never
he's never
mind.
seen a
You
flyer
don't.
this big.
You have no idea what this place is. I apologize. I want to.
I'm in an
make
odd
this.
room.
Yeah, right. There you go.
That's okay.
There are desks,
So
there
he
are
will,
view screens, and there's buttons, levers, and other meters in here. There.
but no
No.
food. So
No food.
Okay.
No.
Can he reach out through the window and reach down to Dotar and help him lift up to into this window as well?
Dotar actually has to jump for it, but if Dotar wishes to follow, I won't make him roll for it. But he'll jump. You'll grab his hand, and then he'll help you through.
Okay.
So there is a bit of a drop outside this window.
Okay.
Now,
Is it
copy
well
and
lit
paste.
in here, or is it dark?
Oh no, it's dark. So for Dotar's perspective, copy and paste what I just said now to your perception.
So this looks like the control center. We should probably see if we can find their cargo hold and see if there's anything worth taking.
And to your knowledge, that would be in the belly of this thing, which would be underwater.
Never mind.
Well, see, don't assume, because this thing could still be sealed down there. We don't know yet.
True. We should see if we can get to the cargo hold.
Right.
And then
Um,
probably see if any of the original crew's bodies are even still here.
right now, Fabian, your companions have disappeared into the tall grass at this point. You may or may not have glimpsed them go in through a window on the side of this thing before the wind stopped moving the foliage. But yeah, you're out of visual contact with them.
Well, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, now Fabian's torn. It's does he go out there to help them in case they run into trouble, but then they risk their own flyer getting destroyed or taken? Or does he stay with the flyer so it doesn't get damaged or taken and risk the other two getting hurt? So,
You,
let's
you,
see.
you see Hamar stick his head out that window. Can you see the window?
Not currently.
Good. So yeah,
Actually, I'm
Hamar will
gonna
stick
do a
his head out there and
self-control
look
check.
and see if he can see him, and if he can't, then he'll just go back in.
The floor is yours, Fabian.
Yep, I was actually going to do a self-control check.
Go for it.
Yeah, he got like a 22. So yeah, he's actually going to stay on the skiff, or on their flyer rather.
Okay. For the sake of everyone's notes, the flyer that you guys currently have would be considered a skiff. However, it'd be a small one. This is about a 4 to 5 people skiff, while Dotar's and Hamar's was about 6 to 12 people. It's more like the longboat version of what you're currently on. Now, Dotar, you're able to find an awkward angled stairway that goes down into the belly of this sinking beast. You find a maintenance room, also no lights. Now I'm assuming that you guys took a radium torch with you to see. Radium lantern of some kind. Because at this point it will be pitch dark. The only sounds in here will be possibly the dripping of a leak of some kind.
Still no bodies or anything.
Not in this room. You haven't seen any kinds of life, which may or may not be unsettling.
Does it look like any of the normal gear and things like that that would have been on here is still here? Does it look like it's been picked?
It might look like it's been picked, but not very well. If that makes sense to you.
Right. Like maybe haphazardly picked.
Right. You're familiar that pirates and salvagers do frequent some of the outer areas. However, this seems like if it was picked, it was very hastily done. Hence, not very well.
Now the question in Dotar's mind is why the haste? I reckon we'll kind of shine our light down the stairs, kind of take a look.
At the
Actually,
bottom
Hamar
of
will
the
lead the way down if you hold the torch up.
oh, okay.
Oh, I can do that too. Yeah.
At the bottom of the stairway, actually, Hamar, when you get down there, you'll actually see what's left to somebody. He had at one point probably a brace of pistols, the way how he's dressed, and what's left of this guy is a desiccated skeleton, He's obviously been partially fed upon, and not a lot of him is left here. His cutlass, however, that he has, almost like in a death grip of whatever was left of his finger bones, is snapped clear in half, and that's actually more a resembling kind of one of your long knives right now, and the tip is jagged and also pitted something fierce. He has his trappings could possibly have had ornate decorations on them, but it seems like some of the precious stones that would be set into his trappings have been picked out. Like, of the leather straps, it's normally of the fashion to set diamonds or emeralds or what have you into the leather. Only the jade stones are removed from these trappings, and you know that they're jade stones because there's only 3 left, and of the colored pattern of this sash, there's the kunzite, jade, and lapis lazuli stones. Most of the green ones, however, are missing. Everything else still there.
Does it look like it would be possible to get this off of him?
Not without destroying the trapping itself. The leather is barely holding itself together.
Okay. Well, the gemstones are worth something now, so that's why he'll try to see if he can get that off at least.
Dotar, above when as you're above your companion there, you're actually seeing all of this happen. It's strange. This corpse is left in a state of, what happened to you, man? And as Hamar is kind of moving things around, there is a pistol nearby, and you move it, and the thing breaks in half. This warrior may or may not have been somebody of importance in life, but he's long gone now.
So it's definitely been around a while if his stuff is just falling in half.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I reckon I will move down the stairwell to kind of join Hamar there and still keep an eye out while he's messing with the guy's trappings.
Okay. Yeah, you can salvage quite a bit of that, quite a bit of those precious stones there. If you go down farther, actually looking down the hallway, you'll actually see what looks to be like a small storage room of some fashion there.
Well, the stones themselves will be good to be able to barter with, but if we can
Mhm.
find something a little more solid, it would be even better. So, gonna look, I guess, move towards that storage room.
Okay.
Still kind of looking around.
There,
This place is cursed.
it could be. You don't know. Don't give me ideas. You round that corner. You walk into that storeroom there. This place has been more thoroughly picked. Crates have been upended, or at least seemingly picked. The floor is strewn with what could have been remaining provisions of some kind. The equivalent of our earthly rat could have despoiled much of this place here. Across the hall from this room, you turn around directly there. The site of what could have been much fighting could have been here. There's bodies, skeletons, strewn bones, spatters of dried blood on the walls. Whatever got in here certainly messed these guys up. There
So
are
all the skeletons and everything, they look like they may have been wearing the same type of stuff.
if the guy out in the hallway was an officer, these corpses may or may not have been his fellows or his troops. They were fighting something, but they're all wearing the same uniform.
So whatever got in here and fought either took their dead with them or did not die.
Right. Or could possibly be even more outlandish. Why were they fighting amongst themselves if they were at all?
Now the question we got to ask ourselves, do we risk it for the biscuit?
Right? Hamar, you follow Dotar Shoro down the hallway into a storeroom that could be despoiled by whatever Telûnian vermin passes for our earthly rat here. But there is a radium lantern that has a little bit of juice left in it on one of the inside crates. You can take that with you.
Yeah, you will.
Oh.
Amar looks at Dotar and says, "Soldiers."
Yeah, Dotar will kind of point out that all these skeletons, they're wearing the same uniform. So whatever fought in here, unless they were fighting amongst themselves for some reason, is either did not die or it took its dead with it.
I'm going to look around for signs of anything animal, maybe like if there's any like a scoring on anything from claws or something larger than these rats type creatures.
Please do.
It might have been here at some point. Okay, that'd be awareness, right?
Yes. If it is animal related, it would be wild lore.
Okay.
Well, you're
Better.
actively
20.
searching, but you want to identify anything that you search from the animal kingdom is what you're doing, basically.
Okay. So the search then is going to be a
Keith.
17.
Keith, that was a question, not a statement. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. He's looking around for any kind of animal activity other than the rats.
Okay. Sorry, that would be wild lore then. My apologies.
Okay. In that case, that would be a 19.
It's not animal. These are
So
a little bit more civilized. This mess is. The only animal interaction with this whole area seems to be what would be the vermin coming in and scavenging the dead.
Well, Lamar will say, not animals.
Well, then whoever it was may be long gone. Probably just as long gone and forgotten as this ship.
Hopefully.
Okay.
So, all right, I guess I'll continue leading the way towards where the cargo bay should be.
It doesn't take long for you to find the cargo bay. Part of it is in fact flooded, but much of the supplies here are still above the swamp line. And from the provisions that you can find here, this was a military vessel of some kind. They have provisions here that have remained sealed and unspoiled in canisters for quite some time. The age, we have no idea, but there are firearms, ammunition, extra trappings, bedding, that sort of thing. Anything that you would find in a small like country barracks would be something that we have found here. Clearly, this was a professional military of some capacity. However, I'm going to draw upon Dotar Shoro's metropolitan background here. Taking anything of, I would say, heraldic purpose might paint a target on you.
Right. So anything that's marked as in other countries.
Right.
Now,
So-
are the markings actually on the containers themselves, or does it look like anything as far as that would just be on like the uniforms?
The uniforms and the containers themselves are marked. Some of the arms and armor definitely are as well, but the individual packing of like your what would be equivalent to like MREs, that kind of sort of thing, doesn't have any script or symbology on it. Excuse me, iconography, excuse me.
Well, are we able to actually? Well, no. You said I wasn't able to tell what the heraldry was before.
Just the colors, not you don't know of any. Apparently, there's a pirate ship going up above. Roll initiative. Excuse me. No, never mind. Yeah, we don't want that at all. Now, hey Fabian, how about that awareness test, quick like? No, those colors are not associated with any country or city state that you are familiar with. What's that, Fabian?
25.
25. Oh, okay. Now, you know what? Whoever that jackass was that was revving their engines, you know what? There is certainly an engine of some kind approaching your general area. Hamar, would you make me a danger sense test for me?
Yes.
As you are the country boy here.
14.
In the immortal words of George Lucas, you have a bad feeling about this.
In the immortal words of Hamar, I say, I have a bad feeling about this.
We'll grab one of these containers of food stuffs and make our way back out then.
Okay. Yeah, Hamar points at a gun. He says, "We could use that."
If it has markings on it, we can't.
He looks over at it and grabs a gun and looks to see if there's any markings on it. I'm assuming he said there were. So he's like,
The ammo, however, I
throws
doubt
it down.
has.
Curse.
If the ammo is stamped, well, then these people are anal as shit. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Well, if you grab a container of, I grab a container of food and a sling my rifle, grab a container of food under one arm and a container of ammo under the other, start heading back out.
Nice.
I will also grab a container of ammo, but I will keep a free hand for my saber.
Okay. From Fabian's point of view outside, there is a, we're going to say probably a light frigate actually passing above your section of the swamp, above you, and escorted by two skiffs, like 8-man flyers there. And they're heading back, we're going to say south. Heading south of your position.
In which direction were we going?
You guys were going west.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
Bearings. Yeah. So that it's fine above me. Like they haven't shown any sign of seeing me, correct?
Not to your knowledge. And you guys really didn't camouflage the skiff at all. So
It looks like a rust bucket. How much more camouflage can
Right,
it
yeah. It looks like a wreck anyway.
get?
well, I suppose.
That
I
one shining buoyancy canister.
And that's the only
Cover that
thing
up
that they
with mud
see.
real quick.
Now the whole thing looks like
Meanwhile, back in the village, Star's like, that son of a bitch.
he just precogs. He knows what you've just done. What the hell?
No, I'm not going to raise my rifle to it, but I am going to keep an eye on them. I'm assuming Fabian's probably never seen a frigate or anything of that size.
You've heard of them. We personally have not seen them. You guys
Right.
live pretty far out.
Right. So yeah, in his mind, it's kind of like that's a lot of guys. You need to just go.
There's nothing to see down here. There's nothing to see.
Like,
Just some
go dark
crazy
mode
old
if that
fisherman.
was a possible thing. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Yeah. Go check the trout line.
You're right. You steal a look over your right hand shoulder there, and your companions are bringing what looks to be some salvage from this wreck. And as you guys come out of this cruiser and you guys look up, you see it pass just out of sight of out of those trees, and you might pick up the pace here. Time to get a move on, gentlemen.
In that short amount of time that we see it, any notable colors or anything that it's flying?
Red, yellow, and brown. The heraldry of Zatha, your country's right now political enemy. And now that looks to be a raiding force of some kind.
Yeah, we definitely need to beat feet.
With that, we're gonna fast forward through you guys getting the fish in what few that you do have from that trout line, and getting airborne and kind of kicking it down in the direction of Piern. Yeah, no, we got to get out of here.
Flyers shimmying as they're going too fast.
Oh yeah, yeah, no.
Exhaust falls off. So much for stealth.
It doesn't have a catalytic converter, so it's even louder. And this is where we will fast forward some time. You have now broke the outskirts of the city of Piern, one of the great decadent cities of Telûne. Piern is a city that has seen it's seen its golden age, and it's carrying it on. Maybe not drawing it out. It's sprawling people. Now, there may or may not be several million that live in this city proper. Is large administrative buildings, almost in a kind of an ancient Minoan fashion. They're massive buildings, spires, similar to those found in Angkor Wat. Flyers going this, that, and the other direction. Flyers that are more familiar to single-man scout flyers, all the way up to enormous and impressive dreadnoughts of Piern's vast flyer navy. And Dotar finally sees, oh, by all the gods, the ancestors, and the spirits of long dead Telûne, now this is civilization. This is home. This is fantastic.
A deep breath. Oh, the smell of exhaust.
Yes. No, none of this Telunian like horse manure or rotting foliage everywhere. No smelly farm people. No, this is exhaust and people. Hamar, there is people everywhere. How are they not touching each other? They're crammed into one spot. Only the ancestors know. And Fabian, much the same. Have you ever heard of these things? Oh, they're elsewhere with whole shit. That's a lot. It's a lot to take in. How do they keep flyers of that immensity in the sky? You could only dream about. But here, we're gonna get closing soliloquies as you guys set down in a more of a public hangar, public dock building at the top of it. Now, Notar will go first and highlight his discomfort at being amongst what would basically be neighbors and kinsmen, trailed by two country folk. Give us a soliloquy of what is occurring in his mind, what his goals are for the future, what could we possibly see?
First, I will say that we would have pulled the supplies we salvaged out of those containers and tossed those marked containers.
Okay. You have plenty of like cargo nets to actually lash to the deck to have everything unmarked. So you guys kind of like, you were able to hide the salvage. We'll put it that way.
But, well, at least things are looking up a little more. We're finally getting back to civilization. This rust bucket leaves a lot to be desired, but at least it got us here. We did manage to procure a couple of supplies in case we need to do some trade. These two, they were handy. I got to give it to them. One of them kept the thing flying, and the other one knew what he was doing with his fishing. And he wasn't scared to go into that wreck with me, so that goes a long way in my book. Deeds over words. From here, hopefully I can get a better looking form of transportation to get back home. Not that I will give it to that old mechanic. He did make something solid enough to fly, but it ain't pretty. And to hell with these people throwing me dirty looks for having a couple of countrymen with me. Most of them have never been outside the city.
Excellently done. Now we'll go to Fabian with his first encounter with a metropolis, a country corsair for hire, now in a place quite literally festooned with work.
Be completely honest, when he first comes out and he sees everything, he actually doesn't give a damn about the people. He looks up at those dreadnoughts and those frigates and those superliners and whatever the fuck else is up there. And the only thing he can think of is, that'll take one guy a lot of time to snake his hand through there, wouldn't it? Because the only thing he's ever known is Thor working solo, fixing all the flyers. His brain cannot comprehend the fact that they probably have crews in the hundreds just to maintain those damn things. He's just thinking that's a lot of work for one guy. It's a lot of work. And then when Dotar's talking about Thar's flyer, is any of that out in the open, or is that all just inner monologue?
That's all soliloquy.
Okay. I just don't know if he did. I just don't know if he had one of those slips of the tongue where he's like, "Thank God I'm done with that wreck." But no, yeah, no. It actually will take a couple minutes for him to focus away from the flyers and the majesty of the air that they're dealing with. And probably the second thing he would finally realize is the air quality, and he'd probably start hacking up a lung. He wouldn't be used to how congested it is. And I can say this, and I can actually make this analogy because I lived in the city, I lived in the country. When you go back and forth, you actually can tell the air quality difference. You will actually get out of your car and you will actually start coughing up a lung if you move back to the city because it's that polluted. So yeah, his brain's taken over by the flyers, and then his lungs say, "Oh, hey, this isn't the right quality. You're going to start coughing now." And then when he finally gets over his coughing fit and his body starts to acclimate, that's probably when he finally says, "Holy shit, there's a lot of people here." And he's going to hit podunk paralysis of, fuck, how do you fit so many people in this place? What's going on here?
And they're not touching either. So there's somehow space to move around, but there's a lot of bodies. And from here, we go to Hamar.
Hamar is nervous. His eyes are darting around all the people and all the movement around, and he looks literally at this dock, and he thinks that everyone he's ever known could fit inside this dock. And beyond this dock, there are countless more people, to the point that his mind begins to get boggled by the idea that, he saw the expanse of the place as he came in, and his initial thought was, "Hey, it's a ruin. There's gonna be, there's maybe the village is somewhere like on the edge of this ruin." That then he realizes that no, it's all occupied. And then he saw the ships like flying buildings above the place, and those make him nervous passing over him because he thinks they're going to fall at any moment because they're just too big. And he's, as I said, his head is literally on a swivel, looking at everything and not taking in hardly anything because it's just all almost sensory overload. But for a moment, he takes a deep breath, and he thinks to himself, with all these people here, there's no way a devouring sail would come near this place. It's probably the safest place I've ever been. Because his experience with people is, yeah, people are cruel, but people generally won't kill you, at least in his experience. Because he's been, most everyone he's known them since he was, he'd grown up. Just recently, as he's left the village, he met, Dotar and now Fabian, and they've all been fairly decent to him. The old man in the last village where Fabian came from he may have been grumpy, but he was still nice. So he thinks this may be a better experience than he expects. He takes a deep breath and sort of centers himself, and he goes to pick up his gun, and he pauses, and he remembers when he was a child. And the old babushka of the village saying that child's cursed. He uses the wrong hand. And he thinks about that and looks around and doesn't see anyone using that hand to carry things or to do things. So he very intentionally picks the rifle up with his other hand, his right hand, and slings it over his shoulder, and has the thought that this will be an interesting adventure. And then he stops and looks and he thinks to himself, where does everyone poop? And who has to dig those latrines? And he sort of shudders at that thought.
As the camera pulls out from this scene, pulls out farther over the first trees of the edge of this city-state's city limits. We see the dreadnoughts of the Piran Navy flying overhead, scout flyers doing patrols and their aerial drills, and off to the eastern portion of this open airspace, we'll see them doing a mock battle of some kind, mock aerial battle. As we pull back further, two frigates are doing an airborne boarding exercise where grappling hooks are thrown over one side of the flyer, and a swarm of troopers swings down upon the lower of these two frigates, and an officer shouts, "You've been slain, you've been slain, you've been slain," and they continue the exercise there. We pull back further. There's a bit of darkness as time passes, and we see that Zathan frigate pulling away into the evening sky, as only one of its remaining skiffs are escorting it, and a smaller settlement, several hundred individuals in the population, is left burning, and it starts to rain here. The rain will put out the fires, but it taints the scene with a black, smoky jungle scene. We pull back further into some unknown portion of the jungle wastes, and we see a nearly nude young woman in the highly wrought teal and gold trappings of a princess of the city of Piran, and she is being drug roughly by her chains and by one towering, this 9-foot tall, many-limbed, arachnid monstrosity with 4 arms, and another one just boots her in the ass, drives her like headlong before the trailing warden there, and they're just they heap indignities upon this young girl, and the fight is still in there, but it's quickly fading. But she hauls herself to her feet, and her tiny form actually looks up into this spider-like horror's face, and she manages to spit that distance, her small form, up into his face. She arcs it pretty damn good at a girl as the stage closes. And with that, we will end tonight's first session of the Telûnian Jungle series. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We hope to continue to build this tribute setting to Edgar Rice Burroughs and the Sword and Planet genre. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll be back next time for session 2. Good night, everybody.